Good Monday morning, my peeps. It's Adrienne Talks, and I am so excited because it is conference season. And I love, love, love seeing everybody in direct sales so excited for their new line. It is the best feeling to get together with all those motivated and positive people, seeing all the new products and just getting super excited for your business. And, this is why most people get into direct sales, right? They love the product and then they start meeting people who are forward focused, goal oriented, cheer them on, positive, growth minded, all those things, right? And so we start falling in love with this business because it is the best environment. So fun. And I remember when I was at conference and it was in 2017, I was setting my goals for the 17-18 year. And I set a goal of the top 25. So we used to have that in our company. So you got extra long trip and extra fun stuff and an extra little trip to somewhere else too. And I set this goal just because other people did. When I got home, I had no clue how I was going to move from like the second from the bottom level up to the top 25. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So, I forgot like when I was listening to these people that I looked up to and I set that goal that we were all in different spots of our life, right? Some people have full-time jobs, some have part-time, some do direct sales full-time, right? They have no outside job. Married, not married, kids, no kids. So there were not a lot of similarities in our lifestyles, these people that I was looking up to and where they were at in their business and where I was at in mine. But you get so motivated, right? You see this person that you look up to and they're excited and they're making a goal. And you decide, well, it would be amazing to have that same goal. I would love to do that too. And you're around all this motivation and people who, you know, you can do it. So you set that goal, right? You probably are like, well, I could probably do that. I'll do that too. So I'm sure you're sitting there. Why, Adrienne? Do so many people leave that conference? And in the first few months they're home, that goal just goes away. If everyone did what they said, right, that they were going to do, I'm sure everybody's team would be leveling up, promoting if they held that goal that they set at conference. So why do people stop? Why do they start ignoring the others who are going to help them hit their goal? You want to know why? It's boundaries. That's why. Oh, I'm sure you're all sitting out there like, wait, what? I thought it was like fear or excuses or clarity, like one of these reasons, right? Having a partner, a accountability partner. And I know in my excuse and some of my goal setting in the last couple, those were a lot of what I focused on. And I never said boundaries. Well, I didn't think I had to. But while I was reading Amy Kemp's book, I See You, which I highly recommend, I realized it is exactly what I did to overcome all those things I told you about when I got home. When I set this goal and I was trying to figure it out. Because when I set this big goal, you're going to have to change big, right? Like if you're setting a huge goal, and it doesn't even have to be huge for the company, it can be huge for you, like doubling your sales or doubling your team or even just getting into leadership, right? Anything like that, you're going to have to change big to change the results. So if you want to increase your sales by one party a month, you know what it takes. You have to ask 10 more people a month. You have to schedule that host coaching time for an extra host each month. And then you have to have one more night away, right? You're going to go out unless you're doing online parties. You know what I mean? You know what it's going to take. When you set a huge goal, you might not have thought about all of that, right? What it's going to take. So when I got home, I realized I was going to need to increase my sales by a little over double each month. And I was going to need to start sponsoring 2 to 3 people a month. Whereas before I was doing one person every couple of months. Okay. So when I broke this down and I got home, I realized I didn't even know what all it would take to hit this huge goal I set at conference. I was just so excited at conference that I was like, oh, yeah, I got this, right? No problem. So this is where most people, when they get home and they realize all the stuff they have to do, they decide, you know what, I'm going to ignore that phone call. I'm going to let this go because this was way bigger than I thought it was. And so instead of that, instead of ignoring the people who want to support you and instead of, being worried about that goal, I think there are two other options that I would definitely have you think about instead of that one. One is you guys change your goal. You're a big girl. You get to decide what you want to do in your life, right? Or a big boy. And you get to decide what you want your life to look like. So if you get home and you realize you don't have enough time to hit this goal, or you don't really want to, you're allowed to reach out to those people and say, hey, I realized with work or kids or what spare time I have, I don't have the time to complete this goal. So I changed my goal to, instead of doubling my sales per month, I'm going to do an extra 250 or whatever it is. Like, you get to decide that this is your life. So saying you changed your mind is okay. It is fine. I know some people think it's like such a disappointment, but people just want to support you with whatever you want to do. So if you decided that's not what you want to do, that's fine. Let people know so they don't keep trying to help you hit this bigger goal and you've already decided not to, because then you're wasting your time, you're wasting everybody's time. But if you tell them what you do want, now they can help you refocus and hit this other goal. Like I said, when I had to refocus on my goal this year, it changed everything. It changed everything. It changed my excitement level. It changed the people who were helping me. So when you can be honest, everyone around you can then surround you and support you in that. But the main thing I did, so this is number two, you can change your goal, or number two, you can set some boundaries. I worked with my husband and he knew that he was going to have to watch the kids more, right? Because I was going to be out more nights for parties because I had to double my sales and I needed to find a lot more people who were interested in doing what I was doing. I would be adding more coaching calls and team meetings to my schedule. So I was home with the kids during most days and I would just need a little extra help in the evenings and weekends, right? My friends also knew my goals. So they knew that, we would have to plan a little more for when we wanted to get together and have a little less spontaneous nights out because I was on a mission. And, at this point, you can have what you want, right? Like, you can have whatever it is you want, but you have to A, make it a priority, and B, set boundaries. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but when there's a priority, you're going to find time for it, right? When something big happens, like I remember in 2014, when there was like 21 days of under 0 degrees in St. Louis, our pipe burst and flooded my basement. Okay. You bet that day, all my daily tasks went away. I worked with my amazing neighbor. I miss you so much, Tim. He helped me clean it all up. So I enlisted some help, right? Um, I also, had a friend take the kids because I couldn't do it with that. I didn't pick up my phone. I didn't do work that day. I had to make this a priority because there was water all over my basement. So, like 2 weeks ago, when I was talking about all those buckets in your life, think if those buckets and those goals that you have for each one were your priority, they were your pipes that were bursting, right? And these were your first priorities. You would do what I did. You would find a way to enlist help, phone a friend, right? Um, Set some boundaries. And that was really all I needed was help so that I could get this done. So when this happened in 2014, this is when my business really took off because I started realizing I could do this with anything. I could make it a priority and ask for help and set boundaries, right? So I remember in 2018, when I was going through all of this, I was trying to figure out how I was going to hit the top 25. So I taught my kids that I had to put a little bit more priority in my job when I was at home and I was staying home with them. So they love the backyardigans. So guess what I did? The only time they got to watch TV with the backyardigans was when I allowed it because I was going to work, right? Before that goal, I would play on my phone or talk to a friend or watch the show with them, right? I was not a girl with a goal and boundaries. That was not something I had. So I would do those things. When I decided to set these boundaries, I had a full 30 minutes to get stuff done. And those kids knew, unless it was an emergency, they just got to sit there and watch that while I was working. And the amount of time we waste in a day, you guys, looking at your phone, playing games, scrolling social media, watching TikTok, all that, you could be putting boundaries in for the phone or whatever so that you would have time to hit that goal. In the beginning, is it hard when you're setting boundaries? Of course. My kids didn't understand why they couldn't interrupt me unless it was an emergency. They didn't get that. But guess what? Even now, they're now 15 and 17. When I'm on my laptop at my desk, they don't interrupt me unless it's really important. Otherwise, they shoot me a text to let me know what's going on and go about their business. So, me setting that one boundary, it way back then, it still stands. Now, think about that. Think about that with all the boundaries you set. It might be a little hard when you first start doing it, but after time, everybody just knows and it's that easy. No big deal. I fight for a boundary then. No one thinks twice about it now. Boom. Right? So I just really want you guys to understand when you're setting these goals, you also need to be thinking about the boundaries. Because when I did this, you know what happened? I enlisted help. I made it a priority. I set those boundaries and I finished 24 out of 25 in 2018. And I got all of those things. And never did I think that was possible. But it's because I did these things that it was possible. So, seeing you all at conference and setting these goals, I'm so excited. But I want you to think about the level priority of that. Okay. If it's high, what boundaries are you going to need to set? And who might need to help you to get it done? Okay. Those are the two things I really want you to think about as you're leaving conference. You have this goal. Is it that important? And if it is, what boundaries are you going to have? And who do you need to help you stick to it? Because I would love for you this week to come share what product you can't wait to use from conference and what boundary you are going to set so you can make that dream come true.